What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another The Sports Scoop podcast. Today we're going to be ranking the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Just a disclaimer before the video starts. I just want to let everyone know that this is
purely my opinion.
In fact, I encourage you to leave your opinion in the comments below. Starting with number 10, I've got Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford honestly could have been higher on this list. In my opinion, why he's number 10? Is because obviously he had a brilliant start to the season. If you look at the numbers, he had a great start. He played fantastic for a really poor Detroit Lions team. We saw how that team collapsed without him. And honestly, poor coaching, poor overall. But I think the best part of it, one of the few bright spots of the Lions team was Matt Stafford, who had a great season. Actually led the winning record at the beginning of the season until he got hurt. So I feel like Stafford, had he stayed healthy, he could have gone up even higher. Of course, injuries is the reason why he's a number 10 on this list at all. I think some people would have even maybe, because of his injuries, maybe would have kept him off this list. I feel like his start was too good to count him out of this list. So I felt like he was deserving number 10. Now, the number 9, I have Kirk Cousins. So Cousins actually led a very good Vikings team this year. They ended up, I believe, it was either 10-6 or 9-7. But he led him to, I think, 10-6 record. So, and then obviously the highlight of the season, maybe even his career, was that amazing performance in New Orleans, where highlighted by a game-winning touchdown pass to Kyle Rudolph. Whether that was pass interference or not, I don't know. And then also a beautiful deep throw, one of the best throws of his career, to Adam Thielen in overtime. So Cousins had a poor year in 12. Expectations were high for him in 2018. Didn't really live up to it, but I think he wasn't in the right system after they brought Kevin Stefanski in into more run-heavy approach, leading on Dalvin Cook. Cousins really thrived in that system and getting the ball to Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. So I felt like, yes, he did need those supporting cast, but I think overall it shows that in a good system, Cousins could definitely be a top 10 quarterback. Now we go to number 8. I have Aaron Rodgers. So this is another one where a lot of people would argue that he should be a lot higher, and also the stats could reflect that. But I feel like, again, similarly with Tom Brady, there are a few of these throws that Rodgers made that either overthrows or poor touch. I felt like that the older Aaron Rodgers would have made. I feel like the 13-3 record was a little bit inflated. I don't even know if he was the best Aaron on that team. I think Aaron Jones had a spectacular year, actually matching McCaffrey's numbers in total touchdowns. So I feel like, but I still think Rodgers definitely had a good year, obviously, among quarterbacks in general. But I feel like he's right now not at the top 5 levels. I feel like he could definitely elevate to that under Matt LaFleur's system. Remember, that was only his first year, and I feel like not yet he should be in that top 5 discussion. Now we go to number 7, and I have Dak Prescott. So Prescott actually has probably some of the best stats of all these quarterbacks. Probably, if you went based on stats alone, Prescott could probably be top 2, top 3. But the problem was that his failure to sometimes deliver in big moments. Like, I felt like sometimes Prescott kind of almost changed his quarterback. His decision making wasn't really as sharp when he was in tough situations. So I felt like that was a problem, which is really the problem with when Dallas is deciding to give him a new contract. They're wondering how much money should we give him, because you can really always see two sides to Prescott. When he's playing, he could either be playing like a top 5 quarterback most of the time, but I feel like also there are times where when they need him most, he can shrink under the spotlight, which I feel like he could obviously change. I think he could definitely elevate himself into that category of top 5, maybe even, who knows, top 3. But I feel like right now he needs to improve that. Otherwise, his game is pretty polished. I really think he can have a great year for Dallas this year, especially with his improvement in weapons and coaching. Now we go to number 6 and to another NFC East quarterback in Carson Wentz. So I feel like, honestly, Carson Wentz is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL when healthy. And that's a big win, because honestly, Carson Wentz has really struggled to stay healthy throughout these 3 years, which is really sad, because Wentz has performed outstanding throughout throughout his career when healthy, playing and leading the Eagles to a 9-7 record to win the division, which is incredible considering the amount of losses the Eagles had, especially in the wide receiver corps, losing Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar for part of the time, Deshaun Jackson, and at one point they were even considering putting Josh McCown as a wide receiver there. So honestly, that's how depleted the Eagles roster was. And it's not just wide receivers; it's almost every position. So the fact that Wentz was even able to lead that team to the division title is mind blowing to me. And I think that's why he deserves a 6th place on this list because of his outstanding play. I think if the Eagles stay healthy and if Wentz stays healthy, watch out for the Eagles. They could be a huge contender in the NFC, not in just the East, but the NFC touchdown record, most touchdowns of the season. So I feel like still top 5 quarterback right now, but I feel like he needs a little bit more crutches to help elevate his play and the Saints' play. Now we move on to our top 4. I believe these are like the elite quarterbacks. So starting with number 4, I've got Deshaun Watson. So a lot of people have Watson a little bit lower, but I feel like with the game evolving, the NFL evolving in general, I think there's more of an emphasis on mobile, scrambling quarterbacks. And I think with also big arms, the athletic freaks, which I feel like Watson is exactly that. Watson leading obviously not a great Houston team. I mean, he had DeAndre Hopkins, but other than that, maybe an injured Will Fuller. When healthy, they were a very potent offense. And he didn't really have a great defense either, and obviously one of the worst coaches and GMs of the league, Bill O'Brien. But yeah, I feel like I think honestly Watson has shown that he can elevate the play of his team, and I feel like for that reason alone, even though the Texans, I feel like without Watson are a bottom 5-10 team. I don't know if 5, but definitely bottom 10 team. I think with Watson, they still have a chance at winning the division, in my opinion, because the division isn't particularly insanely strong. And I think Watson is by a mile the best quarterback in the division, which is pretty good considering they still have Brian Tannehill and Phillip Rivers in that division. Now we go on to number 3. So this is a tough choice, but I had Russell Wilson here. So Wilson's one of the best, most consistent quarterbacks in the game since obviously the best quarterback of the 2012 draft involving Andrew Luck and RG3. Although not many people expected that at first because all 3 were expected to be studs. So Wilson has obviously put together the most polished and consistent career. Almost every year he's been on the Seahawks, he's led them to the playoffs despite his supporting cast gradually getting worse and worse, in my opinion. I think he's still going to obviously lead them to the playoffs because he is Russell Wilson. He has amazing superhero abilities, and I think he's also going to DK Metcalf, the second-year receiver, will make big strides, which will help Russell Wilson in the passing attack. So I think Wilson, considering how much he's done for the Seahawks and leading into the playoffs, I think he deserves spot on number 3. Now we go to our top 2. So I think the top 2 are very closely matched here, and I think number 2 is Lamar Jackson. So Jackson, if you watch the tape for the regular season, you'll see that Jackson was the best quarterback by a mile. And when I say quarterback, I don't mean the best thrower, although he is actually a very polished thrower. I'm not saying that he's not. But obviously, the other quarterback that I'm about to talk about has much more arm talent. But I feel like, and when I mean quarterback, I mean the player that helps win them games the most. And I felt like Lamar Jackson did that for the Ravens, leading them to the best record in the league. Yes, he had a great supporting cast on offense and defense, but I felt like it was him who really drove the team to that next level that quarterbacks like Joe Flacco couldn't. So I feel like Lamar, he played outstanding, obviously breaking Michael Vick's record for most rushing yards in a season. He actually led the league in passing touchdowns. I know a lot of analysts who originally said that Lamar Jackson wasn't a polished thrower, don't like to say this a lot, but Lamar Jackson's actually one of the best quarterbacks, pocket passer quarterbacks. He leads the league in pocket passing percentage. I don't know how to say that. But anyway, I think that really shows Lamar's growth as a quarterback. I think he showed he could beat you in the pocket, out of the pocket, and as he gets older, he's just going to continue to grow and become a better player, which is scary for the rest of the league. So yes, he did struggle in the playoffs last year, but I don't expect Lamar to go away anytime soon. He made a promise to win Baltimore Super Bowl, and I wouldn't give up on that anytime soon. So now we go to our number 1 spot, and I think it's pretty obvious who I'm going to put here, Patrick Mahomes. So Mahomes, there's literally not enough you could say about him to describe how amazing this kid is. He's, I believe, 24. His accomplishments are like basically something another quarterback would take in their entire career. Super Bowl MVP, league MVP, 5,000-yard passer, 50 touchdown passer, first team All Pro. List goes on and on. So, but it's also the unspoken things. Like obviously this year, by a statistical standpoint, he didn't really have as great a year as he did in 2018. But I feel like in other aspects, and like aspects that might not be measured by statistics, he really did grow. Like in terms of leadership qualities, he actually got smarter. Like he said specifically that he wasn't really even to like read plays accurately until later that season. So I feel like that's scary for the league to see that in his first year, he didn't even know really how to read plays properly, and he's still 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. So he really grew as a passer. He also learned how to make the opponent die a death of 1,000 cuts. So slow, methodical offense, which he really perfected this year. I think obviously his stats also might be little bit deflated because he was injured for a big part of the season, whether it was an ankle injury or a knee injury or whatever. He was struggling with injuries, and it wasn't until like towards the end of the season in the playoffs where he was really fully healthy, and that's when he played his best. And of course, during the playoffs, he showed that he could still pull off that Mahomes magic when it matters the most. He made whether it was against the insane 24-point comeback against the Texans, where he threw 4 touchdown passes in one quarter, or it was coming back, making that insane run against the Titans, take the lead, and not turning back from there. Or it was in the Super Bowl after having a horrid game the first 3.5 quarters, and then lighting it up in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, down by 10 when it mattered the most. So I think that's what really it makes Patrick Mahomes number 1. The clutch ability, especially for clutch team, especially for such a young age, such a young kid. The sky's the limit. I think even that's not. The sky is probably too low of a ceiling, in my opinion. So Patrick Mahomes, unlimited potential, in my opinion. I think I would be shocked if he doesn't win at least another 2 Super Bowls. That's it for the video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bells. We do videos almost every day. And yeah, we'll see you next time.